So I was raised in southeast Kansas in a small town. My high school class was 23, and then went on to move my senior year to Chanute, Kansas, which was a big town. It had about 9,000 people, and before the oil bust in the 80s. Anyway, graduated from high school there, ended up at the University of Pennsylvania, went to the Wharton School, got my finance degree there. And I started after college straight into banking in Kansas. And when I was 35, I was offered a job to start a new bank. A group of investors had put together the money and bought some facilities that they needed somebody to run it. So that was my first of 4 banks that I was either chairman or president of, that we started from scratch, all national banks. So I guess since I came to Kerrville, good friend of mine was here, and I'd gotten acquainted with Kerrville and actually owned a second home here. And we, when the Bank of the Hills sold, we thought it was a great opportunity to start another local bank that would serve the local community and be focused on the local community. And so we did that in 2008. And so I've been here now about 18 years, and it's longer than I've lived anywhere else. And we like Kerrville a lot. So my wife is Janet. She's also involved in the community, mostly right now through the Schreiner University. She's chair of the Board of Trustees there. And she's been active in other organizations in town as well. But so we're enjoying Kerrville very much. Glad to be here. Well, I think the vitality of the community needs to be perpetuated. I think we have a certain amount of negativity about we don't have this, we don't have that, and I think, well, I think I could have said that anywhere along the path, that Kerrville has taken. From the time they first made shingles from the cypress trees to Captain Schreiner being here and the growth and his mercantile business and his bank, and then the Petersons later. I mean, there's always been challenges ahead, and we still have challenges, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the vitality from the growth and the energy that is here. It continues to be here, and we want to keep that. And so I want to be sure that we keep on the right path. And we can't grow too fast. There's certain limitations about all that, but we shouldn't be negative about the situation we're in. We've got opportunities. Haven't had too much governmental experience. I was on the EIC here, and I've been several organizations, actually more than 24 probably, community organizations, nonprofits, and arts, and all kinds of community organizations, from mental health to construction groups and everything through 45 years or so of my banking. And certainly bankers are one of the primary beneficiaries of the community doing well, and that's part of the reason the bankers you see a lot on the different boards in town and helping the community be strong. And certainly I did an awful lot of that, and so it's a good exposure to working with other people and accomplishing goals. And I think even as I was in middle school, I was captain of the basketball team. In high school, I was co-captain of the football team. In college, I was captain of the rowing team. And so I had a long history of working with groups and boards and getting things done. So I think that brings real positive experience to bear on the council seat. Well, the growth is something that's really on the top of mind, and that brings up a couple of things. So the water is, we live in a wonderful environment here. And we love the dry climate and the good weather. But with that comes a little bit of a negative, that we don't have lots of water. And so fortunately the city has a good track record of thinking ahead about that. So like 30 years ago when they put in the first ASR well, and just not too many years ago we put in the reservoir for the reuse water. These are forward-looking things at the time to help the community deal with the shortage of water. So yes, water is an issue, and yes, we probably always have some drought stages. I don't think we can ever have enough water to not have extra times when we do more conservation. But we do have more resources available that we can tap, but we have the long-range water plan was done maybe 4 years ago or so, and it may be time with the additional growth that we see as possible with the extra housing that may be coming online. Time to revisit, that and make sure those potential sources are still there, and that we do have the potentials that we identified earlier. And certainly could be that water costs more than what we've been getting, and so the marginal cost may be higher, but the average cost may not be particularly higher when we put that together. So along with the growth is the housing. Obviously that's part of the water thing. And we have so many good jobs coming to the community, and jobs are a big part of the vitality of the community. If you don't really have something going, and that's what drew us all here. I mean, drew me here. It's like the community is doing things and it's improving. And we want to keep that, and certainly there'll be some growing pains, but there's more benefit than cost in having that growth, and can spread the cost of the community services, the police, the fire. You can cover, you got to have so many fire engines or whatever. So a lot of those things, the cost can be spread out over a larger area and more people. And the more business you have, we get the property tax burden somewhat removed from the residential, and we can put more on the commercial. And so Kerrville's a little bit low compared to a lot of communities to have the commercial property taxes help bear the load. Money's always a problem. It's a limited resource everywhere. The track record of the city has been good in this regard. We have 2 new bond issues that were recently for both the public safety facility and for the quality of life issue that was just done. And even though we've added those into our debt service requirements for the next few years, the cash flow required to service that debt is a fairly small percentage of the city's revenue. Certainly, some of the debt the city has, a pretty good portion, is funded by some of the sales tax that outsiders help us pay with the tourists. So they come here and they shop at Home Depot or Lowe's, or they eat at our restaurants or whatever. They pay in sales tax, and that helps service that debt. The water debt is serviced by the water users or the rest of the city. And so it's not all coming out of property taxes. So the ad valorem tax is not impacted by quite a bit of that debt service. So we're in good shape as far financially. And it's easy to say, oh, we got too much debt, But really, if you look at the relative to other cities and other places, we're in good shape. And we have the experts say we're a Standard & Poor's say we're a 2A rated bond, for our bonds, and that's a good investment grade. So I think we're in good shape on finances.
So as a banker, if you were looking at Kerrville's financial situation, you'd rate it real well.
Yes, yeah. So it leaves us room. There's financial strength there to do to do more. I'm not saying we necessarily take on more debt or whatever, but we're down at a low level that we have flexibility to do some things. And if we have to spend a little money to build up our water, well, we can do that. And some of it may come out of, there may be higher prices for water, it could be. But don't know yet. I mean, we have to see. But there's ways to finance water or any other issue if it really comes up. So we're not in debt inordinately, but we're in good shape. You know, I tell this story a lot. My grandparents always said how expensive everything is. And I thought that was kind of strange. And now that I'm a grandparent, everything's expensive. And actually the property tax rate over the last 10 or 12 years is flat to down. That's the rate. Of course, the houses and the real estate is worth more, but it's inflation. And so I don't think that with the tax rate down that we've actually overspent the base that we're living off of. And certainly the dollars are bigger, but the homes and the commercial properties are all worth more. And so, and the services that we provided to the city, they cost more. And so it seems like it must be fairly much in balance if our tax rate hasn't really changed. It's really more a function of inflation than a function of we're overspending or anything, because then the tax rate would definitely be much higher. The tax rate would be higher. Certainly the taxes are higher, and as long as we have inflation, you know, everything goes up, including property taxes. So nationwide we have this divide, somewhat fed by social media and the internet and people getting in a feedback loop, and they get fed more and more of things they already believe, and they believe them stronger and stronger. And the polarization comes along, and then there's no sympathy for compromise. You know, well, our country's built on compromise. And if we don't compromise and we don't work and we together and don't give and take, well then that's an ill omen for where we're going to end up. And that's a nationwide thing, and we have a little bit of that going on here. And I think it's healthy to have a spectrum of views, certainly, and we want to keep those balanced a little bit and make sure that we do have some compromise. And some people, it's obviously water's an issue, for example, and where do you draw the line? How much is enough? You know, we don't want stage 5s. We don't ever have a stage 2. Or where is it that you draw the line? And so that's a compromise that we have to work out. I mean, we're going to never have water enough that we don't have drought stages. I just don't see that. But I don't think anybody will leave Kerrville because they can't keep their lawn green. You know, I think there's enough positives here that, you know, if our lawns go brown for a spell in the summertime, well, that's not such a big deal. We're surviving well. We have good quality of life. And it's one of the negatives, you know, but it's not too big of a negative. And so anyway, we just got to compromise our way to growing, and we don't want to get too much debt, you know, where you draw that line. I mean, it's always a compromise. And so we need to have more of that nationwide and possibly even right here in Kerrville. Yeah, so since 1974, I've worked in banks and been on community boards and mixed with the local population about community issues. So it's a great background and a foundation for me to build from in serving the city. I've enjoyed all the roles I've played in the other organizations in the communities, in several communities. And This one will be a little more intense and a bigger adventure, I think, but I have the background to fit into that role, and I look forward to it.